So I have on my table now the next project to upcycle and repair. This is a really cute Naartjie top that my oldest daughter had. The first time she wore it, it was actually to a family wedding. It has some really cute pants to go with it. I'll show you in a second. And right straight out of the gate, she managed to catch it on a barbed wire fence at this outdoor wedding and tore into the hem. So, because this was a well-loved outfit, she continued to wear it, and I never really bothered to repair it since it was kind of already ruined. I just figured, oh well, and let her wear it. But now that it's a hand-me-down, it definitely has seen better days, so I'm going to do some repairs. So if you look closely at it, it has this layer of lace, but it is really quite worn, and it's discolored. You can't really tell, but it's really just kind of a gray, probably from going through batches of laundry that, you know, are not white since this is a darker fabric. It's just really kind of gotten dingy. So I am going to, since this has already been torn, and it doesn't look like it's straight, but it actually is straight with the seam. Strangely enough, it tore right straight across the seam line for the hem. So I am going to use that to my advantage. This was originally sewn with some silver thread. It's like that on the sleeves as well. And I think I have some silver thread. I don't know if that's what I will use or not, since it's not going to matter. But the other good thing about Naartjie clothes is they are very kind of a rustic finish. So at the top of this peplum ruffle, where they have gathered it and attached it to the main part of the shirt, they have not finished this edge. It's just a raw cut edge. But because it's a single knit, it likes to roll. So it gives it that, you know, like you meant to do it look. So I'm going to use that to my advantage to fix this bottom. And I'm just going to let it do that. So I'm going to remove this lace that's not so great. And since a large chunk of it is actually missing, I will just take a stitch all the way around, just above this original hem. I'm not sure if I'm going to match it or do the silver. I'll decide that when I get over there to the machine. But I will go all the way around, just above where this seam is, so I'm not catching any of that, you know, original hem. I'll go right above that, and I'll go all the way around the whole thing, and then I will just go ahead and cut it off and leave that edge raw. And after a wash or two, it will look like this. It will, you know, basically look the same as what the original finish on the top of this peplum was. I should be able to leave even the tag, because it'll be down in here, so there should be plenty of room for the tag to stay. Okay, and then there's pants that match. They also have some damage. So here are the pants. And as per the normal with my kids, we have knee holes. And they're kind of worn out. So I think because it is summer, and because I just don't see the point in patching this fabric, it's so thin. It's been worn enough that it's really thin. I think what I will do is make use of this eyelet. I don't really like this bottom. The eyelet has stayed white, while this other lace layer, that's the same as the bottom of the shirt, has really gotten dingy, and it just looks bad. So I'm going to use probably this white, the eyelet trim, and do kind of a similar treatment to the leg, and make it not a short, but into a capri. So if I cut it off, if I cut the legs off, pretty much right at the knee holes, which are really in exactly the same spot across each leg, I will be able to make these into kind of a capri length with this added salvaged eyelet from the bottom. There's plenty of it because it's actually ruffled, and I won't ruffle what's going to be at the bottom of this. It'll be straighter, but that will tie it into the top that we're fixing, because it has the eyelet at the sleeve, and then it will keep it looking like it's a set. So that should be a good fix for this. And I mean, originally this outfit was probably a more expensive one of what my kids have, of store-bought clothes that they own. So it's a good rescue. It's already been through 2 kids. And like I said, I let it go with the original smaller hole and damage that was done. It's just gotten a lot bigger. Last summer with the second child going through the same outfit. My kids are rough on clothes. They play hard, and yeah, this is the kind of stuff that happens. So, but yeah, this got a lot worse just last summer. And I've considered just tossing it, but it's really a cute shirt. And even the pants are still in pretty good shape other than the knees. So we will make use of this one more year, since it still fits my 6-year-old. And it will be a cute outfit for summer. Okay, so I'm going to go and set up my machine, and I will cut off those legs, and we'll try taking off this bottom and see how it looks. So here are the pants. They are laid out mostly flat. The inseam and crotch seam are lined up, and you can see where that damage is. This is actually the higher, the other one's just slightly below, so this is the higher of the 2 knees that are damaged. So I will be taking it off right across that and making that the bottom of the pants, where I can then add on this wide piece of eyelet to the bottom to make them more into a capri length. So I will chop that off, and then we will do some stitching across that, maybe in more of a fancier, leaving that raw edge again, which Naartjie is famous for. Here it is again down here on this piece where it's ruffled. They're kind of famous for that ruffly raw edge. So we'll do that, and then we will also do the same kind of a treatment to the bottom of the top, and we'll make it back into a pair that can actually be worn. Okay, my machine is set up. I did decide to go with the silver thread. Just happen to have pretty much an exact match, and then a similar blue color for the bobbin. It looks darker on the camera than it really is. Okay, so I will be doing just a stitch around this bottom. Because this is a knit, I am going to do just a slight wobble stitch. You've probably seen that before when I've done it on my previous videos with a stretch denim. All that is a zigzag. You set your machine up for a zigzag. That's a very narrow zigzag. So the stitch width will be, very narrow, just barely back and forth, side to side. And then stitch length, I'm at about 3. And this is selected at a zigzag, obviously. I have changed out my needle to be a needle that's compatible with what I'm going to sew. And my threads are ready to go. So I'm going to go ahead and sew this, and then we will look at it again when it's ready to trim it off. Stitching is done. I did go with the silver metallic thread. So it is, similar to the rest of the finish on this. And it is not perfect as far as, the hem on this. Mostly because the original hem, as you can see, was far from perfect. So I tried to keep it straight. I did manage to keep the label, so that will be intact. And I've just, like I said, used that wobble stitch, once again, just because it gives that little bit of excess thread, for stretch. It's not going to be a lot in this fabric, though. Obviously, the original hem was a cover stitch. If you don't know what a cover stitch is, that's the 2 needle threads on the front that make the 2 straight stitches. And then it does, you can't really see it because it looks like there's multiple stitches here, but it does a kind of a surging overlock on the back. And that is a very stretchy stitch. That's why you'll see it used for hems on most knit fabrics. But I think this will be okay where it's the bottom of this peplum. There's not going to get a lot of stretch anyway, because there is obviously excess fabric with it being gathered. So now I'm going to go ahead and trim really close to that hem, but kind of making it even away from my stitch. And that will eventually, as it gets washed, just kind of roll and do a similar thing to this up here. which I think is cute, and that's fine. It'll be cute on the bottom of this peplum. Okay, so now I will chop that off, and then we'll see that, and then we'll finish the pants. Alright, here is the finished hem, or not hem in this case, but the stitching around that bottom, so that it can do that raw edge roll. One thing about the metallic thread, while it is a cute look, I would not go out and buy it for this. I just happen to have some silver from I don't know what project. If you do decide to use it though, just keep in mind that it is very finicky, and in some machines all but impossible, and you will want to tear your hair out. So if you want to avoid that, I would definitely just match or do, a cute contrasting that's not metallic. This did give me some trouble, and my machine is very, usually trouble-free when it comes to stitching, so it's definitely a thread issue. But it does look cute on this, and it does make the sleeves, continue to match with the sleeves. They have the same metallic. So I like that it, kind of keeps that going. Alright, and now I am going to move on to the pants. I did take a little bit of a detour on the pants. From what I had said before, I did cut them off at that same length, just above where the holes were in the knee. The damage was pretty much right on this edge. It's probably about knee length right now. Maybe right above the knee, or just right below, can't tell, for a 6-year-old. And after looking at this, while the white is a little bit dingy, I thought I could probably rescue it and save this whole ruffle from the bottom of the leg. It just happens that the width of that ruffle is exactly the same as where it would need to go on the bottom of this now cut off leg. So I think what I will do is make use of where this stitching, this decorative stitching is. Because it's a leg, I will probably use a zigzag just across this area, or another type of stretch stitch, just because I know it's going to be a problem. It'll end up getting popped if I do a straight stitch. So I will just attach that to the bottom of this leg, and cut off this extra. I just haven't bothered to trim that off, but I will trim that off really low. I didn't want to take it apart because it's all one piece inside here. That's what the lace is actually attached to. So I'm just going to trim it off really close to this cover stitch, that decorative stitch that was done. The decorative overlock. And that should just hide back behind this ruffle anyway. And then there will be a complete ruffle on the bottom of this. And that will both lengthen the leg down into a capri length for sure, and continue to match the top that has the eyelet at the bottom of the sleeve. And that should turn this back into a pretty cute outfit that can be worn for at least this next summer, the top maybe even into the fall. And that's a good cost savings that will extend the life of an outfit that actually is a really cute outfit. We'll see how this goes. Alright, so I'm going to pin this on to these legs, and then I will show you what it looks like right before I stitch it. I am not going to use the decorative silver, even though that's what they've used on the bottom of this. I'm going to see how close I can match my thread to what's already here, so that it will hide within that decorative stitch, and hopefully barely be visible if anything. Alright, so let's see what happens here. Ruffles are attached with just pins for right now. To pin these, I lined up the side seams and inseams first and put the pin in, and then just added another pin in the middle. These are, little tiny legs, so it doesn't take a lot of pins to hold it. And then I'm going to stitch right over the top of that decorative stitch. I did use plenty of fabric down inside here from the leg so that I for sure am catching enough that it'll attach securely. And then I will go ahead and sew this. And just one other thing I was thinking while I was doing this is these finishes are not something that if I was sewing from scratch, I would probably not choose to do this type of a raw edge. But it's kind of what Naartjie's famous for, is their almost a deconstructed look, I guess you would say. And so I'll go ahead and leave that, and then I will trim, like I said, I'll trim this off after it's attached. I just left it on so that I could have a little more to work with to attach it, and then I will trim it down. I wouldn't leave those raw edges if this was something I was making from scratch, but where this is, a remake, a reuse, I think it'll look cute. And I actually like how I ended up with the full sets of ruffles on the bottom. I think that'll still be a cute leg. Needs to be pressed a little because I don't like how the lace is all tangled up, but it will look very cute, I think. Especially, like I said, with that top with the peplum where it will match still. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and sew this, and then we will see what it looks like when it's all done. Alright, so here is the finished repair and remodel of this Naartjie outfit. I finished sewing on the bottom ruffle to make it into a capri length. So we got rid of the holy knees. You can see that I just trimmed that excess really tight down into that, so it's really not even visible. I did make a couple repairs to the edges. The seams had come a little bit undone on the lace, so that's repaired. Cut off some unraveling strings places. I do still think that this looks a little bit dingy, but it's a play outside outfit. She'll love it. She was sad that I was going to get rid of it when I saw how torn up it was. So she'll be happy that I saved it. I did also make a repair. The crotch seam had come a little bit loose, so I repaired that, and that should last. And then here's the top with the peplum with the torn lace removed, and it looks pretty good now too. Overall, I think it's going to be a pretty cute outfit, and will last at least for this next summer season and into fall. And she will probably have outgrown it by then anyway. But that's, a savings of one whole outfit. And that's the best. To me, that's how it really should be. Make use of everything that we have and make it last. I definitely would not go out and buy, specifically the metallic thread that I used. I wouldn't have used if I didn't have it already. And even on this leg where I attached it, you can't really see it because it actually matches pretty good, but this is the stitch that I used to attach it. It's a stretch stitch, so it should not pop if they stretch the leg at all. And it's sewn right on top of this decorative stitch. Let's see if it'll focus. And you can see it, the thread that I had on hand that I used in my needle is a little lighter and a little bit more purple, because this is kind of an odd purplish blue color. But it matches close enough that, you really have to be looking before you would see it. I would not run to the store specifically to buy thread that matches something like this. I would make do, if you happen to be at Walmart or you happen to be by the fabric store, then that would be different. But a repair like this, the object is this, you're saving money, not spending more, so it's not worth a trip to the store. And there are plenty of, from scratch projects that you can spend your money on. This is a save money project. Okay, if you have any questions, you can leave them in the comments below, and I hope you enjoyed this. Thanks.